Welcome to The Explainer. If you've ever been in charge of multiple websites, you absolutely know the headache of trying to keep content consistent across all of them. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a tool designed to solve that exact problem, Adobe Experience Manager's Multi-Site Manager, or as we'll call it, MSM. We're going to explore how you can create content once and have it ripple out everywhere, intelligently. All right, so here's what we've got on top. We'll kick things off by digging into the content reuse challenge itself. Then we'll break down MSM's core building blocks, see how it keeps everything in sync, and, this is the cool part, explore how you can still have local control. We'll wrap it all up with a real-world workflow and some pro tips to make sure you get it right. Okay, let's dive right in. Let's talk about the big challenge here. Imagine you're dealing with content not just for one site, but for dozens, maybe even hundreds. Trying to keep everything consistent, it's a total nightmare. And that, right there, is the exact problem MSM was built to fix. Does this hit a little too close to home? That endless cycle of copy, paste, and pray? You know the drill, right? You update a promotion on your US site, then you have to remember to do it for the UK, Canada, Australia, and the whole time you've got that nagging voice in the back of your head. Did I miss one? Did I forget that tiny bit of legal text somewhere? It's not just slow, it's a huge risk. And look, this isn't some niche problem. We see this all over the place. Think about big multinational companies trying to push a global message, but still needing to let their local teams make it their own. Or what about a national brand that has tons of local branches? Same deal. Heck, even a tech company managing docs for different product versions faces this. These are all tailor-made scenarios for MSM. All right, so how does MSM actually solve this? What's the secret sauce? Well, it all boils down to two key ideas: blueprints and live copies. My favorite analogy is to think of it like a master recipe. You perfect it once, and then you hand out copies to all your other chefs. They get the perfect base, but they can still add their own local spice later on. So let's start with the first piece of the puzzle, the blueprint. This is your single source of truth. It's the gold standard, the master copy. All the pages, the structure, anything you want to reuse, it all lives right here. When you need to make a big global change, this is where you start. Okay, so you've got your blueprint. Now from that, you create what's called a live copy. And I want to be super clear here, this is not your average copy and paste job, not even close. This live copy maintains a special live relationship, like a digital tether, back to the original blueprint. So if you change something in the master recipe, the live copy automatically gets the memo and can pull in those updates. It's a copy, but it's a smart copy. Now, what's really interesting is how these updates actually move around. It's all about the direction of travel. When you do a rollout, you're in the blueprint and you are pushing your changes out to all the live copies. It's a broadcast. But when you synchronize, you're on a live copy page and you are pulling the latest updates down from the source. So you've got push and you've got pull. Understanding that difference is absolutely key. So we know we can push and pull updates, but what's the magic behind it? How does it really work? Let's dig a little deeper into the mechanics of how MSM keeps everything perfectly in sync. Let's break this down even simpler. A rollout? That's a one-to-many thing. You're standing at headquarters broadcasting a message out to all your branches at once. Synchronize? That's one-to-one. You're at a single branch calling back to headquarters to say, hey, give me the latest updates just for me. It's a much more targeted pull. And this whole process isn't just happening randomly, of course. It's all governed by what's called a rollout configuration. You can think of this as the official rulebook for your content. It's where you get to decide exactly when and how a sync happens. And it really just comes down to two things: a trigger, that's the when, and some actions, that's the what and how. So what kind of triggers are we talking about? Well, the most common one is just manual. An author clicks a button to roll out. But the really powerful part is you can automate it. You can set it up to sync automatically whenever a page is changed, or when it gets published, or even when it's unpublished. But here's a little pro tip for you, straight from the documentation. Be really careful with that on modification trigger. If you use it a lot, it can actually slow things down for your authors because it's trying to sync after every single change. So use that one wisely. Okay, so syncing is great, consistency is great, but let's be real. You don't always want everything to be an exact clone, right? What happens when your Canadian site needs to talk about Canadian dollars? Or your UK site needs a banner for a bank holiday? Well, this is where MSM really shines. It's built for exactly this kind of local control. So let's take a look. Here's our Canadian site. It's a live copy. It's pulling in all the content from the main blueprint, including this nice global summer sale message. Everything is perfectly in sync,
But that word global, it doesn't really feel very personal for the folks in Canada, does it?
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole point. Watch this. A local content editor can just hop into that one component and break the connection. You can see that little broken chain icon there. Now they can change the text to Canadian summer sale, prices in CAD. And here's the magic. The rest of the page, it's still connected to the blueprint, still ready to get updates. But this one specific banner is now owned and managed locally. So cool. And you have a ton of control over this relationship. It is not all or nothing. You can temporarily suspend updates for a whole page if you need to. Or you can cancel the inheritance for just one tiny component, like we just saw. And yeah, you can always resume it later to reconnect. There is a nuclear option, though, detach. That severs the connection for good. Just be really careful with that one, because once you do it, there's no going back.
Okay, theory is great, but let's see how this all builds out in the real world. Let's walk through a super common workflow step by step to see how all these pieces, blueprints, live copies, rollouts, and local edits, all play together so nicely.
So here we go, step 1. You set up your new live copy site from your master blueprint. Easy enough. Step 2, down the road, an author on the global team makes a change to a page in that blueprint. Step 3, they hit the rollout button. And boom, step 4, that change just automatically flows down to all the corresponding pages on all the connected live copy sites. Then, step 5, a local marketer sees the update and thinks, I can add a little local flavor here. They cancel inheritance on just one single paragraph, add their regional details, and they're done. Simple, efficient, and controlled. Now, MSM is obviously super powerful. But with great power, well, you know the rest. You need a solid plan to use it effectively. So let's wrap this up with a few key best practices to make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Okay, if you remember one thing from this section, make it this. Plan. Ahead. Seriously, map out your entire content structure and your workflows before you even think about building. Some other quick hits. Try to keep the number of live copies manageable. That's good for performance. Don't go crazy with customizations. The more standard you say, the more reliable things will be. And this one is huge. Set up a clear governance model. Everyone needs to know who's allowed to do what and where. It will save you from a world of headaches. Oh, and know the little technical details, like how moving a page works. It's not magic, it needs configuration, so be aware of it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The official AEM documentation has a pretty stark warning about this. They talk about ungoverned chained inheritances, which is just a fancy way of saying you're making live copies of other live copies without any rules. They say can spiral into this massive, complex spider web that just kills your performance and reliability. It really drives the point home. Good planning and governance are not nice-to-haves. They are absolutely essential. So there you have it. MSM gives you this incredible power to create content once and reuse it everywhere, intelligently. It's all about finding that perfect sweet spot between global consistency and local freedom. It's a huge leap from that chaotic world of copy and paste to having a true single source of truth. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. Where in your organization is the cost of not having a single source of truth hiding in plain sight? Thanks so much for joining me.